Hey everybody, I am going to try something new this year for our beginning of the year administration code and inclusion code. If you've been at Natra before, you know that this is something we are required to do twice a year. We're going to try this beginning of the year version online by watching this video and presentation and answering a few short questions. If it doesn't work out, then we may change it up for next time. We definitely will have a face-to-face one a little closer to K-Prep. Just a couple notes. I will need you to make sure you sign in on the sign-in sheet for the administration inclusion code. And I want you to be aware that the device I'm using to put this together is called Edpuzzle, and it keeps a record of if you skip through the video or if you just answer the questions. And I will need everybody to actually watch the video and answer all of the questions because I turn in a copy of that to the district assessment coordinator. And so I guess I want to say that if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask those. I don't think there's any bad questions. And we don't just have K-Prep. We also have access testing for our ESL students and alternate assessment for our students that Ms. Faraj services. And those will happen before K-Prep at the end of the year. So it's important that everybody understands all of the pieces that will go together to make this successful. Inclusion code is more of the accommodations that we provide to students who receive, who have an IEP or a 504 or a PSP. IEP would be the students who are serviced by Resource. PSP are program service plans, students serviced by ESL. And Ms. Lacey kind of heads up the 504 plan. So if you have a question about one of those, I'll be happy to answer that as well. So I think I'm going to get started. I will have to break this into several videos, and hopefully this will be an effective way to also manage your time and that you can watch this at your convenience. I wanted to, some of this, the test security, we talk about more in depth when we get to the K-Prep testing, but it is important because there will be test security that we have to maintain for the alternate assessment and the access testing. So if you're part of that, it's important that you know that everything always has to be double locked. You cannot provide answers to students or guide them or give a verbal clue or nonverbal clue. And so it's very important that this is a good display of what the student knows and understands. As you notice, my PowerPoint's a little bit, some of the words are off. I pulled this off of KDE's website, so I apologize. I did look through it and noticed there were some errors, but I thought you could figure out the wording on it, like this one. So throughout the year, it is appropriate for you to post instructional visuals that will help students understand the concepts that you're going over. You can leave those up all year except when a state assessment is being given. So if we're giving access in a classroom that you're in, then we need to make sure that the information is down from the walls. Same thing for alternate assessment and K-Prep. Throughout the year, feel free to hang your charts and posters and whatever else that you create to help students understand. During the state assessment, there are certain portions that allow dictionary and thesaurus. That'll be gone over more in depth when we get to K-Prep. There are certain dictionaries and thesaurus that are allowed for access testing as well. It is appropriate that throughout the year you can motivate kids, but whatever strategies you're using need to be consistent through your testing. Bribery is not something that is appropriate. So they need to be consistent with what you've been doing all year, and that'll include our school-wide reward system. It is appropriate that you embed test-taking strategies into your regular instruction, but this would be done through regular content and not just an isolated test-taking strategies prep course. You can use test prep materials or books. Some of those we have available in different grade levels throughout the year. You can choose to scrimmage. We do not do a school-wide scrimmage. Different grade levels take that on the way they choose, and we leave them that flexibility. If that's something that you want to do and you'd like some help with organizing that, I'll be happy to help you. You can visually scan a student's response, but you cannot indicate that they need to make changes or something like that on a state assessment. That is appropriate, of course, as you're teaching, because that is what teaching is. As you teach, you want to correct students. You want to help them understand their misconceptions. But when it gets to the state testing, that is not appropriate. I talked about that. Inclusions of special populations. So like I said before, this talks more about the accommodations that are allowed and should be provided. So we will get into those. I will take a brief moment to ask some questions, and then we'll talk about the inclusions.